Bayou Joe is back, and he is healthy, and he's got some veterans on that offensive line, as well as his old running mate in Jamar Chase. Reunited and feels so good. But what does 2021 have in store for the Cincinnati Bengals? We're going to go over that today. We're going to do a breakdown of the roster, a little deep dive, give you my projected starters, and of course, my prediction for how they will do in the 2021 NFL season. What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So let's go ahead. Let's dive into the roster. Of course, starting with the offense. This offense led by Bill Callahan. It's gonna be the same old same, at least under Zach Taylor. It's been a very West Coast, that Kyle Shanahan-esque scheme. So expect the outside blocking scheme, but with their Frank Pollock now taking over as the running game coordinator. He's the offensive line coach there. Expect it to be more of like a wide zone blocking scheme, kind of like what you see at Oklahoma State, just with a little more it on it, if you know what I'm saying, a little more NFL polish. And I think that bodes well for a guy like Joe Mixon. I think he is great. He is great at just cutting on a dime once that decision is made and going straight up field. That just works to his benefit. And with this receiving core, expect a lot of 11 personnel, man. Expect a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, especially when you have the likes of a Jamar Chase, a T. Higgins, and then Tyler Boyd being one of the most underrated slot receivers in the league. There's not much depth outside of that. You got Auden Tate, obviously. Stanley Morgan Jr.'s shown some flashes, but there's really nothing else that a receiver that really inspires me. That really makes me feel good on that roster. It's really those top 3. Drew Sample, he actually flashed a little bit in the passing game, showed a little bit of chemistry with Joe Burrow. So did actually CJ Uzma, but I mean, he got banged up. Hopefully that won't be the case. But man, this squad from a weapon perspective, very good, especially going back and looking at a run back like Puka Williams, kind of this scat back you kind of want in your running back room, like a guy you can kick out to slot, maybe if you want to run 4 wide and stuff. A guy you can move all over the place. Chris Evans is this all around good back as a pass blocker, as a runner, as a pass catcher. He brings it all to the table. I expect those 2 guys to be on the roster. I don't know where that really leaves guys like Pirine, Williams. He's kind of been banged up last couple of seasons, but they got the weapons for our boy Joe, dude. They got the weapons. It's just a matter of, will they be able to protect him? That's a good question. That is a very, very good question. Actually, we could even go into, because they actually got quite the tight end room. I mean, bringing in Thaddeus Moss, who he was along with Joe Burrow on that ride, that magical season. But Pro Wells is also an interesting guy. Cheyenne O'Gandy was a guy I was high on a couple of seasons ago. But I mean, obviously not all those guys are going to make the roster. But man, yeah, will they be able to protect Joe? And I think they will try to take pressure off him with a lot of RPOs. I mean, once they kind of they were middle of the pack when it came to how often they ran RPOs last season before Joe Burrow got hurt. And I like that idea, especially if you're going to be doing this very spread out offense. Then that really works to the benefit, especially actually of a weak defensive or offensive line. Excuse me. Like we know Jonah Williams, we're hoping he's going to take that next step. Riley Reef, he's a reliable vet. Those 2 guys probably going to be on the outside. I imagine Jackson Carman is eventually maybe going to move over to right tackle. But right now, he's going to be probably their left guard because Michael Jordan is just trash. I know you never thought you'd hear the words Michael Jordan and trash in the same sentence, but we ain't talking about 23. Quinton Spain, I think, is likely to take the right guard role. He was pretty good for the Bills a couple seasons ago. Last year was a bit banged up. Play just wasn't nearly as quality as it has been. I don't expect to see Deontay Smith. He's very raw. He might even end up being a guard or tackle, one of the two. It'll be interesting to see. But actually, they got a lot of guys that kind of fit that mold of are they guard or tackle. Like Fred Johnson is another guy I could see kicking inside. Hakeem Adeniji, who actually put in some solid work last season. But I always felt like he was more of a guard coming to the league. Then Trey Hopkins, he should be ready by training camp health-wise. So he's probably going to man up the center position because you don't want Billy Price doing that. Trey Hill's probably more towards the future. He is another guy that is still a bit raw. He's only played the center position for a season and a half. So that's still something he's getting familiar with. But this offense, it looks like it could be explosive, especially with Joe Burrow. It's just like, how good will the offensive line be? And I think they did a good job of bringing in some vets to really help the line with Quinton Spain, with Riley Reef. They might not necessarily be the future, but they're a good bandage to have while you put that offensive line together. They have the weapons, obviously, to make this work. Joe Mixon, if he can stay healthy, that's a big if, then you got a quality back there coming out of the backfield. I really like what this offense could potentially be. It could be deadly. It could be fierce. It could be a lot better than what people think. Their shortcoming, though, is definitely going to be the defense. Let's go ahead and take a look at the defense. Under our boy Louis A. Quite frankly, I'm going to be honest, man. I don't think even Lou knew what he wanted to run last year. I know that they came out. They were supposed to be this hybrid 3-4, but they ran a lot of 5-2. They stacked the front. I think we'll see him move maybe more away from that and really have just 4-man fronts. He came into the off season. He really wanted to get guys that could just stand alone as pass rushers. And it didn't sound like he's not a big fan of blitzing. He doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to make that something that they do. I could see this team not having a lot of not blitzing a ton. Really, hopefully relying on these guys to get pressure. They ran a lot of cover one last year. I mean, dude, Jesse Bates, he's one of the best safeties in the league. There, I said it, last year, man, was kind of a coming out party for him. Having him back there single high, I'm okay with that. But will they be able to get the pressure, especially if they were very man heavy last year? I think they will lean. They'll lean a little bit more towards zone. At least that's what the addition of Chidobe Awuzie makes me believe, but they still brought in Mike Hilton, who came from a very man-heavy scheme. I still think there will be elements of that. We'll get to that when we get to that. Let's talk really about the defensive line, because Sam Hubbard, I expect him to play a lot more inside the guard or inside the tackle than he did last year. If they really want pressure, I think they're going to bring it by getting a guy like Joseph Asai on the field a ton. I really do. They have DJ Reader there to kind of man up the nose. They even drafted Tyler Shelvin, so I thought that was very interesting. Another guy who's made to be a nose tackle in the NFL. But Larry Ogunjobi, he's more of a run stuffer. I think when they do get into third downs, they might kick Hubbard inside. Trey Hendrickson, he doesn't strike me as a guy you want as a stand-up rusher. That's why you have someone like Joseph Asai coming in. I think we're going to see a lot of Joseph Asai, maybe even a lot of Cameron Sample. Maybe if they want to keep Sam Hubbard as a stand-up rusher, maybe they bring in Cameron Sample on those third downs, kick him inside. I think we're going to see a lot more of these guys that are supposed to be very good pass rushers on the field a lot more. I think we will see a ton of Cameron Sample. We'll see a ton of Joseph Asai. How good will Hendrickson be? Man, that's an interesting question. I really thought that they should have kept Carl Lawson. They decided to part ways with him. Now they're going with Hendrickson, who kind of had his coming out party last year. But we'll see. Is that more of a contract year type of thing? Will he kind of like regress? I mean, the expectation's high for him. Even Khalid Kareem, he's kind of similar to a Cameron Sample guy who's more of an edge setter on early downs, and then you kick him inside. That's where he might wreak his havoc. So I don't really think, like, we'll see Ogunjobi a bit, but I really think we're going to see more from these edge guys. In terms of the secondary, I think we will see the cover one look. I think that's kind of the staple. They were most successful when they were in a cover one look. They played a lot of man. Trey Waynes, he's capable of that. He's capable of playing man. I think we might see some cover 3 here though, just because of Woozy. But I do expect Waynes to be playing a lot of man, shadowing the team's top wide receiver. Especially Mike Hilton, I could see him doing the same. Von Bell will play in a lot in the box, and if they do bring up extra pressure, it's gonna come from him, or it's gonna come from a guy like Hakeem Davis-Gaither, who's kind of a linebacker that like specializes in that. He's a smaller guy who he's got a ton of speed. I do think Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt will be probably the guys that see the most snaps, but I could see them bringing Davis-Gaither in a little bit, especially if they do decide to blitz, depending on how often. Pratt, Wilson, man, I think they need to take a big step up in development. Like, really, I know Wilson was a rookie last year, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's not really stupid athletic. He's more, he's got it up here, though. He's a guy that won't put himself in bad situations. He won't be a detriment, I think, to the squad. Jermaine Pratt, that's kind of up in the air for me, man. I don't think his play's been that good. I think he could be easily probably replaced. But that cornerback room, I really do think they may still be man heavy, but they'll be a lot less man heavy than they were last season. At least this is what I'm suspecting with the pickup of Wouzier. And then Trey Waynes also coming from Mike Zimmer a couple of seasons ago. He is familiar with more zone. So I do think we will see that. They got a solid cornerback room, though. They just don't have a star. They don't have a stud. I don't even think this defense really has an identity. That's the thing. Like, typically you could pinpoint the philosophy in any defenses. Like, last couple of videos, I've been trying to do that. Like with the Eagles, I suspected that they'll be like, hey, we're going to get a ton of pressure through the A gaps. With the Jets, the bend don't break mentality. I don't really see that here for the Bengals. I don't really see what type of philosophy they have, but at least they have some decent depth at the corner position. Bringing Eli Apple in, Darius Phillips, very underrated. He is good in any cornerback room. I think it's nice to have him, especially if they have some injuries between Waynes or Awuzie. They also bring in Ricardo Allen, who's a good guy that might see a ton of time there at safety. But, like, I just don't see this team getting a lot of pressure. And initially, I just don't see it for the squad. Wow, they also have Darius Hodge, yo. I don't know if he makes the roster, but he was a guy I like. Like, he's kind of that Joseph Asai role. And that's the cool thing about Asai. Like, he has experience dropping back in coverage, to where they did that a little bit with Lawson and Herbert. Not a lot, but a little bit. So Osai, who has a bit more experience in college with that, I think that's another part where I really think he'll be on the field a bit more than a lot of people think. But man, it's just going to be interesting. I think if everyone talks about, like when it came to that 5th overall pick, they need to get sold. They need to protect him. I think they were fine. They're fine for now. I don't think the offensive line will be as big of a letdown as it was last year. I can't say that about the defense, man. I really this defense, I still got question marks. I think it's easily the weak link in terms of this squad. Do I believe in their secondary? I don't. A little bit. Like, I think it's a good cornerback room, but I don't see this team getting a lot of pressure, man. Trey Hendrickson, he ain't playing across from Cameron Jordan anymore. Things are going to be a little bit different. Getting pressure is going to be a little bit harder. We'll see, though. We'll see. Let's go ahead with my projected starters. These are guys I expect to get the most snaps. So let's get this sucker started with, of course, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon. I got Chase Higgins and Boyd there in the slot, Drew Sample. And then, like I said, Jonah Williams, Jackson Carman, I really believe gets the left guard spot. Trey Hopkins, Quinton Spain, and Riley Reef. In terms of the defense, Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, I really do think they're going to use Joseph Asai a lot. I really do. DJ Reader being that nose. And Hubbard, I expect them to keep him on the field a bit if they want to kick him inside or even keep him as an stand-up pass rusher on the outside and maybe bringing guys like Khalid Kareem and Cameron Sample. Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson, and then the corners got Wouzier, Waynes, Hilton, and then Bates and Von Bell. These are the guys I think will get the most snaps. Now, prediction. I don't think the team is there yet. They will be a lot more competitive, but again, man, that defense, I'm still looking for an identity. For this defense. Maybe we answer that question this year. Maybe, but I got them going 4-13. I think this is easily probably their floor, though. But I mean, when you're predicting for all the teams, you're gonna have some teams you like better than others. Just for me, I always found that I feel like the Bengals defense just isn't nearly as is gonna let them down a lot more times than not. In terms of their schedule, I mean, you're playing an extremely tough division there in the AFC North. And then you got to go travel to the AFC West there, having to face the Chiefs, having to face the Broncos, which they're just a quarterback away. Sam Hubbard and them Chargers. Herbert and them Chargers, they're pretty darn good. Then you got to go face they got the Packers. If Aaron Rodgers playing, man, watch out. Also a game against the Niners. Like, you got to imagine that Niner team, if they're healthy, that's going to be a bit tougher. But yeah, they could totally win more games. Like here, I got them losing to Detroit. I had to give Detroit a win here and there. But that could easily be a win. That could shift how this squad does. But man, yeah, Chiefs, Ravens, those are tough games. They could beat the Broncos. Again, depending on the health of the Niners, I got them going 2-4 in the division. I think they lose back-to-back games to the Ravens, which, I mean, you could go either way with that, though. I could see them definitely winning there, but no, I'm going to stick with that prediction. I do think they'll be a lot better than this, though. I was like going through all my predictions, and this was one I always came back to and was like, man, I really do think they're better than this. I don't think they're a playoff team yet, but I do think they'll do better than a lot of people expect. But let me know what you think in the comment section below, especially when it comes to the defense. If you think that defense has an identity, please let me know, because I did a lot of research, man, and I watched a lot of football last year when it came to the Bengals, and it was like I couldn't really peg a philosophy for this squad, especially when they went out and like what they did in free agency. I think the Uze thing messed me up a lot, just because he's honestly a way better zone corner than actual man corner. So, but yeah, let me know in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing. It's always much appreciated, much obliged. And until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.